Hi, everyone. I'm Joe Sarkis from Worcester Polytechnic Institute, and let me speak to some of the issues related to the circular economy and theorizing. Thank you, Westlin and Andre, for presenting your interesting case and some of the issues that you face. The first thing I would like to do is first share my screen and show you what we have here. And this is the title, and theorizing and broadening the perspective of organizations and resources. So let me go down to the first slide here. What do I see? And I'll do this relatively quickly. I see complexity, systems, relationships, institutions. These are things that Andre and Westlin have observed. There's rules and norms. There's transactions that are occurring, flows, and of course, the capitals of all kinds. Each of these having a theory. These all might make sense. But are we looking at theories in the same way and in the same problem is one of the issues that I have faced over time. And if you noticed, Westlin and Andre presented a whole series of theories, and it really depends a lot on the mindset and the sense making you're trying to put together for this situation. And the circular economy right now is a complex situation, which means that not a single theory can really explain everything, and maybe it shouldn't as well. And this gets into the issue of our ontologies. Are we looking at this reality in different ways? And some of this, of course, is very much discipline focused. I come from the operations management discipline and supply chain management discipline. We borrow theories from organizations, and organizational theories play a large role. Now, the other question we have is, are we using the theory correctly? Are we really understanding it the same way as the ontology aspect of things? And the idea here is almost every theory can be deconstructed in some ways. And there's many, many theories, maybe too many theories for us to try to decipher the situation. And I give an example here is let's look at the resource-based view. And it's a competitive advantage type theory. And the issue here is you're trying to gain competitive advantage, and does shared value provide competitive advantage? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But typically it's from a competitiveness basis. That means you're put up against somebody else. And that question arises for almost any of the theories being put in there. For example, for me, the transaction cost economics theory is about the make or buy decision. Now, how would that relate to the circular economy? There is a relation, but is it always in that situation? Should it be more of a collaboration, or should you say, oh, do I make myself and become more competitive that way, or do I share it? But I don't think it's used like that here. And in a way, this transaction cost economics is a very broad theoretical perspective. There is no one set of elements and deconstruction that can occur and develop the same type of scales that might be replicable all over the place. So even the construct of one theory can be quite complex and fit in many different ways. I am guilty of this, but sometimes I miss the nuances and maybe the appropriate application. And that gets into the issue of how do I go about testing and evaluating and developing knowledge? And that gets into is my epistemology, the study of knowledge and how we reach it, the same way as others might use it. So those are two major issues, my reality and how do I get to the solution methodology. And now let's get into one more dimension here is the levels of analysis. The boundaries have multiple levels of analysis, and this is a diagram that I use often. There's individual level all the way to global industrial networks, from a sub-micro to super macro perspective. And the circular economy fits in this, and every single one may have multiple levels, every single aspect of that. You may even have observed it in some of what Westlin and Andre have shown. And one of the things we have to consider is the who, what, and how of boundaries, what levels of analysis. And let me give you another example that I can deconstruct here from institutional theory, or the idea of institutions, which institutional theory is based on. And what we see here is that there could be individual level where the philosophy and beliefs and motivation theory can be brought in, all the way, if you go down to teams, organizations, the idea of norms and standards are all part of the institutional theory. What causes organizations to change or forces them to be in a certain way? There's even international, multinational theory about norms and cross-cultural aspect of it. For example, the liability of foreignness. If you're going to do circular economy in a foreign country, will people trust you to do the shared value aspects and to do all of these, setting up the industrial eco parks in some aspects? You could do the same thing with resources. And what do you make of resource-based theory in that case? There's resource dependence theory and so on. And thinking about the viewpoints aspect and disciplines, notice all these additional theories, and there's probably 20 times as many as these theories, but depending on the field, depending on the purpose, we take a lot of this theory and try to apply it in our domains, in this case, the circular economy, the sharing of the value in the circular economy. I've come across theories from political science like ecological modernization theory, even thermodynamics with Emergy analysis, and so on down the line, from engineering, information technologies. An idea here is that we import a lot of our theories. The question is, can theories be portable? The answer is yes, but we have to be careful in how we go about importing the theory. Now, this is from a paper of ours that we published relating green supply chain management and circular economy theory. Notice here how it relates to the circular economy and some of the principles that we have. We've applied green supply chain management theory in a number of different ways. We've used theories from different fields in a number of different ways and applied them in different areas. And from a boundaries perspective, you can also see on the left-hand side there in the circular economy that we go from global to enterprise level and even individual level, that there's different theories, and we tried to plot these up against each other. You could do the same thing from the strategy field. You could do the same thing from human resources and behavior at these different levels as well. Can the theories be applied? And what we're showing here is some cases, yes, in some cases, not so well. So we need to be careful when we try to develop and apply those theories. Now, we've also looked at the multiple levels, and in cases where we have applied them, and this kind of supports that other document in more detail. I know this is difficult to read, but notice at the very top, the resource-based view, institutional theory, stakeholder theory are applicable across the fields. But when we go down, we see that circular economy has its own broader theories, and usually at a much higher level than the organization or individual level analysis. And have they been able to be applied at lower levels? Not necessarily. Maybe there could be some aspects there, but it hasn't really been studied. And that's at the bottom of this graphic. When we look at the middle of this graphic, we see that there's a number of theories within GSEM: complexity theory, transaction costs economics, which have been slightly and lightly tried to be applied in the circular economy context. Some of these that Westlin and Andre have shown as well. But there's also additional theories that have not been applied there. In other words, there's a lot of potential at multiple levels. And I leave you back to Westlin and Andre with their presentation. I just wanted to put these ideas out there for a discussion. I apologize I can't be there, but do enjoy PDW, and I hope some interesting results come from this. Thank you.